More than 100 volunteers took part in a final beach cleanup at Iladu, marking the end of 2 years of committed environmental action. The area, which has been a major cleanup drive led by passionate environmental advocates, has witnessed the return of apex predators like kites and a growing number of other species. This and more will be our focus in this week's edition of Green Angle. Welcome. I am Esther Mopariola. And before we begin, let's bring you updates from the world of environment. Modern apartments, tastefully furnished and located in this upscale part of Lekki, are now slated for removal. Leading a team from the Ministry of Environment, Mr. Tokumbo Wahab explains that many of the structures obstruct water flow and contribute to flooding in the area. However, some residents are unhappy with the decision.
For some of those that developed those places, I know one or two of them personally. And I'm going to keep telling them that this is not going to work. But by and large, you can't also let people go through pain. Those tenants, like you saw, it was emotional for some of us here. When you see people say, I'm going to pick my daughter from school, I don't even know where to take, or my son to, when they come back from school. But that should not also becloud our sense of reasoning and fairness. So we'll have a win-win situation. We'll come back and see how far we've gone. So the notices are not timed, but they are also, they had me telling them, just find a way to move your things and then we have a balance.
The inspection team also visited Megamond Estate, where a stop work order was issued for ongoing land reclamation along the Ikota River. The commissioner maintained that the government will continue to enforce environmental regulations without compromise.
Now, beyond stopping, they've also pushed beyond the limits into the right-of-way for the Ikota. We've asked them to cut it off and push the sand back and then give us all the documents, stop working here, give us the documents, and we want to believe they will comply. And if they don't, we'll weigh the big stick, unfortunately.
Okay. Meanwhile, the Lagos State government is urging residents and developers to seek proper approvals and adhere strictly to environmental guidelines. This, they say, will safeguard lives, protect natural waterways, and prevent avoidable disasters in future. It's another win for the Nigerian Navy, as officers at the forward operating base in Ibaka have intercepted a boat smuggling over 500 kilograms of pangolin scales into Nigeria from Cameroon. The arrest happened during a routine patrol around Tomshot Island. One suspect was caught trying to move the illegal wildlife cargo into the country. Pangolin are critically endangered and are said to be the world's most trafficked mammals. Their scales are in high demand in black markets, especially in parts of Asia. The Navy believes this shipment was headed for Lagos before being smuggled out of the country. The suspect, along with the boat and the cargo, has been handed over to the Nigeria Customs Service for further investigation.
We are privileged to make the formal handover of arrested exhibits and suspects to the Nigerian Customs Service. And this arrest is of products relating to endangered species, pangolin scales, which is one of the critical requirements for us to check. It is important that we make a lot of effort to stop the trade in the endangered species, as it affects our conservation policies as well as economic policies.
We want to express our heart feeling to the Nigerian Navy for this wonderful seizure. This is a big one, and this will be taken to our headquarters for further investigation and prosecution.
The conference brought together dignitaries, public officials and development experts
united in the mission to chart a path toward renewable energy transition in Nigeria. Speakers emphasized the critical role of legislative backing in accelerating the shift of government institutions to renewable energy. This, they say, is vital as the country works to reduce its dependence on fossil fuels and move toward a more sustainable and secure energy future.
Poor and epileptic power supply has become a significant obstacle to our development, hindering our efforts to alleviate poverty and boost productivity. As a parliament, we recognize that effective lawmaking requires a multifaceted approach that prioritizes progress, development, and the well-being of our citizens. To address these pressing challenges, we must explore innovative problem-solving strategies.
Nigeria must not become a resource colony for the new green economy. It must be a producer, it must be a processor, and a power in her own right in the area of critical energy transition minerals.
In his address, Speaker of the House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas, stressed that Nigeria's energy transition must be a collective and continuous effort. He said such resolutions should drive tangible results, encourage investments, and promote the adoption of innovative energy technologies.
As the global market shifts towards cleaner energy, countries like Nigeria will have no choice but to diversify their economy to maintain their financial stability while seeking investments in renewable energy sources to align with global trends.
The government of Ghana's commitment to sustainable energy development will continue to work with all stakeholders in communities and across borders to ensure that renewable energy becomes a driver of prosperity, equity, and resilience.
This conference marks a crucial step for the House of Representatives to engage in the global response towards sustainable energy systems by 2060.
We began our journey from the Bonny Camp jetty in Lagos. As usual, I had to put on a life jacket for safety before boarding. With everything set, it was time to head off to our destination. We arrived at Takwa Bay Beach.
How was your experience?
A beautiful spot, but this wasn't our final stop. The real mission lay ahead, so we kept moving. It took us about 20 minutes on foot to get to Pop Beach. Some volunteers were already tired, but they didn't stop.
What do we do? Peace out.
Finally, we made it. Tired, thirsty, but determined. After a quick break to hydrate, the volunteers quickly got to work, clearing plastic waste piece by piece. Just 2 years ago, this beach was buried under heaps of plastic, as seen in this footage. Today, thanks to consistent cleanup efforts, the transformation is striking.
It was awesome, it feels good to sort of clean up some of the damage that you've done. At least there's an avenue to make things better. So yeah, it's always a fun time to try and help our environment, really, because we're the ones living in it and we're the ones that made this mess. So anytime I eat or drink something in public, I put it in my bag, and then when I get home, I throw it in the bin. So even if you don't see bins around, there will be bin around, so you can hold it or put it in your bag and then put it in a bin around, or you just take it home. It's easier. It's nothing to you. Like, it's not that big of a deal. How many will you as a person eat? But by the time everybody throws it on the floor, it piles up, the water carries it, it ends up in places like this, or it clogs things. But then if daily you just remember, okay, don't throw things on the floor, then it makes things a bit better.
It was an amazing experience. When we started, I felt that, small, we're picking up, how we'll be able to. But at the end, we have collected so many plastic, and it's just the little we can do. So we should encourage everyone. And Mr. Akin, he's doing a wonderful job. This is a really amazing initiative that, we support our environment. It is our mother nature. So it's the least we can do, and it's definitely worth to do.
This initiative is the brainchild of Akintunde Disu, founder of Pop Beach Club. His mission: to protect marine life and restore the once thriving ecosystem here.
About 4 years ago, I went back. I have a place in Takwa Bay and a place in Ilashe, and I went past here and it was filthy, and so and there were no birds. So I was really upset, and I took a picture here. And I asked people to come out and help me, basically, and we started cleaning. And we've been, first of all, it was the bottles. We cleaned all the bottles away from here. We've moved 30 tons of bottles from this beach, and then now we are focused on removing all the other types of plastic, the film, the polystyrene, the labels, every single thing. So our main goal is really to just return the beach to how it was in the past, because when I used to come here about 10 years ago, there used to be loads of wild birds, especially during the migrating season. You will see huge flocks of birds here, but they've all gone now. So, but we're pleased that with our work, they've started coming back. We've got some, we've got the kites, yellow beak and black shoulder kites returning. We've got all sorts of birds returning. So it gives us a great joy.
Akintunde tells us the waste collected will be recycled into durable products. And the plan doesn't end here. It's a community-driven effort designed to last.
From this journey, we've sent over 250 children to school in scholarships. As I said, we've removed 30 tons of plastic from the beach, 30 tons of PET bottles. We've removed over 3 tons of this type of bad plastic in the last 2 years from the beach. We work with Unilag, we work with NYSC. We carry out residencies. Over 250 students have attended our residencies, and we've had thousands of people take our ESG course online. We are now in the process of creating a system where it is monetized, and then we no longer have to do it. That is the system that we get, and then the inhabitants can do it themselves when we show the value. So right now we're going to show them how to clean, sort into what is valuable, what is not valuable, and everything. And once they can do that and they can clean that, then they can sell that. Then it creates an industry for them. That's what we did with the bottles. Now nobody bothers about the bottles. You can see there are no bottles on the beach. They pick it up, they clean it, they crush it, they take it to town, they sell it themselves. If you go around anywhere, you will see that every house has its own collection of plastic bottles. Now we want them to collect all sorts of plastic and to be able to separate it at source. Separation at source is what is most important. And we can practice this in our own houses in Lagos. We don't have to wait until it gets to the beach. In fact, our job is to stop it from getting to the beach. What our aim is for everybody to practice separation at source in Lagos. The way we use clear plastic bags here, you can use clear plastic bags, put your rubbish in there, and Loma will ensure it is recycled. As you know, almost every single thing can be recycled in Lagos, whether it's film, HDPE, LDPE, PET, polyamines. They all have their value stream, but once it goes into the rubbish waste stream, then it's difficult to be sorted out. We can only do it here because the ocean has washed it. Nobody is going to go and start picking from a rubbish dump. But here we are lucky that the ocean has washed it, so we can still interact with it.
Environmental enthusiasts say the impact is already visible, with sightings of apex predators like kites and other returning species. A sign that nature is bouncing back.
Well, it makes me feel happy, but there's a story behind that. There used to be a lot of birds. Then the plastic came and then the birds reduced. And now the place is clean and the birds, at least they seem to be coming back. Not as many as they were, but this is a gradual process. If you can keep it clean, I'm sure more birds will come. Nature is interconnected. Everything impacts on the next thing. So for them to be here, it means there's a greater availability of food. If there's greater availability of food at the lower end of the food chain, it probably means that for those who depend on the ocean or what you find on the shoreline for livelihood, things like crustaceans and the likes, it means that there's also likely to be an increased number in that. So it gives. So you can't really say, you can't pick nature on one point and say this is the impact. Everything is connected. One thing feeds to another, to another, to another. So the more you see of one, chances are there's also an impact on another. Sometimes negative, sometimes positive. The amazing part is that the cleanliness of this beach is actually dependent on those of us who are in Lagos, because it's our waste that goes into the lagoon, goes into the ocean and gets washed on shores like this. So what we do there impacts here. So I think the real message we can show the impact here, but the real message in terms of sustainability should go to those of us who are on the mainland and the island in Lagos.
With the cleanup done, it was time to head back. The walk was long and draining, at least for me, but not for my cameraman, who had the joy of capturing every moment.
You understand what I'm talking about?
How many kilometers did you walk?
I wish I counted it though. I don't have any means of counting it, but I'm really exhausted. God, if you understand me, please. I don't know how you even try with your camera, carrying it and moving around. I did a good job though. I must give you a thumbs up for this walking there.
Green Angle returns in just a moment. Stay with us.
This forest is actually a secondary forest. The anthropogenic activities that people have been doing here is more of farming. People have been, like cutting down the natural habitats. Sometimes people cut down the trees to make charcoal. People do a lot of construction. So all those ones, they are more of anthropogenic activities. Sometimes people go to kill animals. So you collect some plant parts, maybe for medicine or for consumption. So those are the anthropogenic activities that I mean. So human impact. So when a natural forest grows by itself, so it's being called a secondary forest. So that could allow some alien plants, some exotic plants, those ones that are not actually native to that environment, to that natural ecosystem. Challenges we've been facing so far in this forest is, so far it's not a natural forest, that is a natural regrowth. So we'll be having challenges to have a lot of gaps in this forest because the exotic species, those ones that normally that have invasive property, so they cover some areas. They don't allow some other things to grow around them because many of them, they have some what we call allelopathic property. So they will have some sort of chemicals they release naturally around their environment. They don't allow some other things to grow around them. So that is why they will now be the only one in that area, turning a tropical forest to more like a temperate forest. Like you get to a temperate forest, you are going to see only one species in very large area of land. But the beauty of a tropical forest, most especially the natural forest in Africa, is to have diversity of plant. You can see obeche very close to Iroko being close to another mahogany. So that is the beauty of the African forest. In our checklist in our ITA, we have over 270 species of birds, so over 200 species of butterflies, 48 mammals. So like the mammals that you are talking about, which is the wildlife, like we have the blue duiker, like a small antelope. We have that. We have the tree hyrax. We have the marsh mongoose. We have the pangolin, the endangered pangolin in this forest. We have it there. We also have a lot of squirrels, a lot of ground squirrel. We have these flying squirrels also. We have them. So we have bushbuck, the giant antelope. that is common to West Africa. We have the African civets. So, but different types of mammal that we have, there are 48 types in our checklist. So also we have 28 reptiles like the snakes, the monitor lizard, we have like the rock python, we have the green and black mambas. You have to be somebody that is skillful. You must be knowledgeable about trees. Just like me, the way I know about trees is just about me going to the college. It's not that enough, but the passion in me, seeing something green. So, but in line with the knowledge that I've had now, what I understand is that you will have gone to different habitats, different places. Let's say now, the kind of tree you are going to see in Ibadan metropolis or Ibadan forest and the northern part of Oyo State is quite different. So like when you go to somewhere like Edo State, so it's going to be different. So Ibadan is just like a mixture of savanna and forest area. So when you go to Edo State, you are going to see a lot of bigger trees, a lot of mahoganies, like a real natural forest. So if you have those ideas, you will know that this is a savanna tree and it's fitting for certain area or the other. So there's no way with the knowledge, the skill, and some of the literatures that you expose yourself to and you build partners, you should be able to know that, okay, this one fitting for this. Like we have some trees that show preference to rocky areas. There are some trees that show reference to like stony areas. So a lot of trees show reference to water area. They are water-loving trees. So when you plant them in a marsh area, they survive very well. Just like in Lagos, when you see Lagos like Lekki area, so there are some species of trees, they can only survive in that kind of mangrove forest. So without that area, there's no other place for them to survive. In this forest, IIT forest that we have, is the only one that I would say is protected. The only one remaining as the remaining urban forest that we have in the southwest Nigeria, most especially being protected in the aspect of protection. So go out of this place, no other forest that has been protected, and if they are protected, maybe they are protected for farming, maybe for logging activities. So there's nothing like we are struggling with nothing less than, from literature they will say we are struggling with 3 to 4% of forest lands. You know, the Food and Agricultural Organization of the world, they just put it that there's a standard. They put 25% of a nation land area should be considered as a forest area. So, but in Nigeria now we are struggling with less than 3%. So it's quite low. So we don't even know we are not even sure whether the 3% still exists. Because when you go out there, you go to the forest, you are going to see an open land. We could start from creating awareness, most especially to the young generations. So like IIT runs school conservation clubs, and everything we do in terms of restoration, the seed collections, we also do it here. So let's do the awareness, the publicity, whether on Twitter, every different means of like publicizing it. Let people be aware of our own trees, most especially competition within the urban centers. People can plant our native trees. Like a lot of junctions are named after local trees, like Ibadan or Lagos. You will hear Idi-Araba, Idi-Obi, Idi-Oro. They are all our native trees. Idi-Ori, like Phytex stoniana. So those are the things that we should do. We should bring them back to be close to people, like encouraging people to have home garden, keep home gardens, plant some trees that will not disturb your property, like destroying your fence. 1 or 2 is okay, just for one plot of land is okay, because a tree, it is being proven scientifically that a tree will supply the required oxygen for 4 people. So if you are a couple, you have 2 kids, so you are fine with 1 tree. So you could do a kind of urban planting. Let it be sensitized. Also, the government should also contribute to this. They can sponsor habitat restoration. Some of this, a very big, vast area of land that has been destroyed, and it should be native trees, not that a public figure will now be planting something like all these alien plants. We are not from California. We are not an American. We are not from Europe. We are Nigerians. We are Africans. So we should plant our own native trees, and this will now be a very good abode for our living organisms, for our wildlife, for our butterflies, for our insects, and different things that we have that God has created in our natural ecosystem.
And that's about it on this week's edition of the program. Until I come your way next time, remember, together we can build a sustainable world. I am Esther Makwariola. Bye for now.